Okay, using a couple of illustrations, I would like to explain to you some of the differences between the brain of a student who has dyslexia and the brain of a student or other individual who does not have dyslexia. What research has found is that dyslexic brains use different neural pathways, in other words, different routes through the brain than good readers' brains when it's time to read. Good readers use two specific pathways to read. They're both on the left side of the brain. They use a slightly slower system in the parietal temporal system for a new reader, and then as the reader becomes more advanced, the reader uses the occipitotemporal region for faster, sort of express reading. To show you a little bit of what that looks like, we have here an image of the brain. Let's see if we can get that without a glare on it. Now you can see that the brain has a right and a left side. This particular brain is oriented the same way that a human brain would be, or you might say as my brain is. So in other words, the right side is my right side, the left side is the brain's left side. So for the more advanced reader, the good reader, they're using the left side of the brain. Oops. The left side of the brain, particularly toward the back. The earlier version of reading from the parietal temporal is more in the front to middle part of the left brain. But as the reader becomes more and more advanced, here she uses the back region of the left brain, that occipital temporal region. So parietal temporal and occipital temporal, left brain, parietal temporal a little closer to the front or middle, and the occipitotemporal more in the back or the posterior portion of the brain. Now, what happens with the dyslexic brain is that the dyslexic brain tries to use more the right side and the front of the brain rather than the left and the back. What happens is this creates some difficulty transforming letters into sounds, which makes the dyslexic reader a slower reader, and it even makes it difficult for them to become fluent readers even as they mature. They don't have that super duper quick left brain express system, which can respond to words in less than 150 milliseconds. And that special express area is sometimes called the word form area. That's in the occipitotemporal region. The dyslexic brain also tends to overutilize or overactivate the right front area of the brain, a specific region called Broca's region. Now, this area is also responsible for spoken language. And what the dyslexic brain is sometimes trying to do is use a spoken language area of the brain to translate letters into words. It doesn't really work quite as efficiently as those left brain regions designed for those functions. So to increase reading ability, what interventionists need to do, or design intervention to do, is to increase the ability of those left brain areas and posterior, in particular, the word form area, to become more active. And what they found in recent studies is that with really great intervention, really targeted intervention, that students who have dyslexia actually can improve their fluency and increase their reading rate with really good intervention. And to show you a slightly different way to explain what's going on in the brain, particularly the brain of a dyslexic student or a good reading student, I designed this little car and road map illustration. You can see we have streets laid out in a pretty reasonable grid pattern, pretty even, going both vertically and horizontally. So if you'll imagine that these are pathways through the brain's obviously far more complex. Now, the brain of a good reader is going to use left occipital and parietal temporal regions of the left brain to get the information quickly. So imagine this is our reader, and he's going to take the most direct route up to reading. It's pretty straightforward, and with more practice, this reader is going to get faster and faster at translating printed text into reading, into ideas. What happens with the student who is dyslexic is he's going to get to reading, or she's going to get to reading, but might take a different route. Because the student is using different neural pathways, the reading is going to take a more circuitous or roundabout route. Notice that Our dyslexic students still got to the goal, still got to reading, but took a roundabout route. So it took longer. It was a more laborious process to get there, kind of like sitting in Houston traffic. You're going to get there, but it's going to take a little bit longer. So what this shows us is that, or what it shows all students or all teachers in all content areas, is that students who have dyslexia might require a little more time to get assignments done, especially if those assignments are heavy in reading or in writing. It's important that we give them a little extra time in order to get these things accomplished, because they're going to be taking a more roundabout route to get to reading than students who do not have dyslexia and who have, especially those who have practiced and developed those expressways, those word form areas to a higher degree. However, again, just to encourage you, we do have the hope that with great intervention, students who have dyslexia still have the ability to increase their fluency and improve their left brain anterior functions so that they too can become better and more practiced readers. So with good intervention, let's help our students just take off.